On Saturday, February 9th, 2008, the next chapter in my life began. I was working that day at the Savannah Clubhouse giving tours to prospective buyers. I remember touring with one family who shared with me that they were expecting their third child. I looked at the woman and remarked how I couldn't at all tell that she was pregnant. So I asked her how she knew. She told me that it started with kind of clumsy, absent-minded behavior, then progressed into morning sickness. In that moment, my mind instantly flashed to earlier in that day when I dropped a bag of M&Ms all over the ground and opened a closet door on my own face. I became very anxious at that point to get home and take a test. Your dad and I were supposed to attend church that night at the village, so I quickly took the test just as soon as I got home. I was in shock as I read the results. It was almost positive instantaneously. I was overwhelmed with thoughts of fear, excitement, and uncertainty. I wasn't sure how I was going to tell your dad or how I'd be able to keep it a secret. I knew it would be the greatest news I would ever give him, so I wanted it to be special. As your dad and I drove to church, I stared out the window and began to think about how life as we knew it would be forever changed. Dad was trying to speak to me, but I really couldn't comprehend a word he was saying. He made a comment about how my lack of nutrition probably had something to do with my attention span. That comment I did hear, and I thought, oh boy, if he only knew. I was able to sit through church, but as your dad listened to the preacher speak, I was scheming how I would tell him the big news. I had always imagined sending him a bouquet of flowers at work that read, "Congratulations on your new baby." I would then pop out after getting to see the joyous but maybe confused look on his face. As much as I wanted to do that, I didn't think I would be able to hold the great news in until Monday. So I sat and thought about the resources I had close by. Your Uncle Jay's birthday was just days away, so I decided to use that as an excuse to get Dad to the Barnes & Noble bookstore. I would tell him that I needed to get Uncle Jay a gift card, but would have other intentions in mind. So just as soon as church let out, we headed to grab something to eat. I knew it was already late in the evening, so I asked your dad to take me to the Barnes & Noble first before they closed. He was very hesitant and wanted to eat first. Big surprise. He said we could get the gift card another day. I continued to push, though, until he gave in. He pulled up to the front of the store to drop me off, but I urged him to come inside with me. A bit irritated and hungry, he agreed to join me. We walked through the doors and passed the front counter where the gift cards were. He asked me why we passed the gift cards, and I told him there was another section of the store I needed to go by first. I guided him to the children's section and did my best to keep my wits about me. As we entered, he questioned why we were there. I stopped, took his hand, and said, "I just thought you might want to help me pick out your baby's first book." His face showed confusion, amazement, and possibility. He was so shocked and unsure if he had heard me correctly. We sat down together on a little wooden stage and began to talk about it and cry. After we talked, we prayed for you. When we opened our eyes from prayer, the first book in our line of vision was on a revolving rack. It was called Go Away Dog. The front cover was an illustration of a little boy holding out his hand to keep back a rambunctious black and white dog. We looked at each other and laughed. This was sure to become you and Mickey. In that moment, I knew you were going to be a little boy, just what I wanted. And so, the story of my little Baby Cade began.